All right, let's talk about Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears. Listen, kind of a weird game. Probably the first time ever that the defense won the Bears a game in the Justin Fields era. Maybe there's another one someone can think of. But, there was some good and some bad of Justin Fields. So let's talk about all of it. And maybe, the broader topic as well that we'll get into is what do we do with Justin Fields? Because the Bears find themselves in a very similar position they were in last year of, they have a first overall pick, looking like they're going to have a first overall pick. This time it's not theirs, though. It's the Panthers. Do you draft another quarterback? Do you go with Fields? Well, let's talk about Fields and if it makes sense to go another direction or not. So this play, 3rd down and 2, and these are some, this is just the classic Justin Fields stuff, right? Watch as when Fields takes the snap, right off the bat, not a great situation. I mean, this is, you could make this one of those cheesy movie freeze frames of like, you're probably wondering how I got myself here, right? Not great by Fields. Pressure right up the middle. He's trying to avoid that, but also there's pressure on both edges, so trying to get outside the pocket wouldn't, work too well either. However, watch him just do incredible stuff. He accelerates so well. He gets to this point, pause it here, just, does a good job of, planting his feet as well, doing the best he can. He is running at a full speed. Only so easy to, get your feet planted, but doing a good job, I would say. Eventually finds an open player. Wasn't, I don't know if it was open right away, but eventually got open when he was able to scramble around. So this is great stuff from Fields, right? And you see these plays and think, man, you got to keep Justin Fields. You got to. He can make these types of plays. Unfortunately, there is, of course, the bad that comes with it. Watch as Fields is going to run a play action and again find himself in a similar situation. Pressure coming around. Oh my God, this is a disaster. Well, okay, no worries. It's Justin Fields. Let's see what he can do here. This time, though, you're going to see him, just get sacked. That's not great. He does try to throw the football away, but was ruled down. And even if he wasn't, that would have been intentional grounding anyway. So an example of how, listen, I don't know how many quarterbacks in that situation aren't getting sacked, but at least your average quarterback is probably only getting like a 4 or 5 yard sack there. Fields kind of, ended up losing about 10 yards on that play. So that's kind of the issue there. I believe it's actually 12 total yards lost on that sack. So, that's just, you take the good at the bad, right? The good outweighs the bad, in my opinion, but there is some bad that comes with his great rushing ability. Heading over to this play, I have to say, I think Fields has come an incredibly long way from where he was at in college. I think he has improved tremendously as a player, and this is a perfect example of that, where it's going to be a quick screen pass. Wide receiver screen. How could we be even talking about this play with Justin Fields, right? Isn't it kind of just you throw the football almost like a handoff, right? Well, watch how when the play begins, you see that a Vikings player has stepped in front of this passing lane, so if Fields makes this throw, a pick 6 could happen, quite frankly. And to be honest, I think the Justin Fields of old is trying to make something happen here. I think he is. Instead, Fields is going to go in a different direction and eventually just, throws the ball away because nothing was open. To me, in college, I think he might have only thrown the ball away once or twice all season, his last year at Ohio State. Here we're seeing him not be afraid to throw the football away, understanding that that's part of the NFL game. It's really good stuff from Fields, and it does give you confidence that he can potentially continue to grow as a player because he is still very young. To be honest, though, going over to something like this is just the main thing I see when I watch Justin Fields is so much of this stuff where it's going to be cover 0. So, hey, the Vikings, they love their cover 0, right? Brian Flores likes to do this, and it makes sense. It's worked out well for him, right? For sure. So, okay, you need a corner who can win your one-on-one matchup if you're the Vikings. You need a receiver who can win the one-on-one matchup if you're the Bears. It's DJ Moore, and it's a bit of a tough situation, right? Because on a 3rd down and 8, if you're a corner, you can kind of defend that first down marker right there, which is part of why Flores is dialing this play up in this position. Watch Justin Fields take the snap. He's going to do the right thing, throws it to DJ Moore, can't quite make the play. And to be honest, too much of this has happened. It's been less this season because I do think DJ Moore has helped, even if he didn't on this play. But we still see this far too frequently of just plays where it's like, yeah, I mean, Fields did mostly everything right. Or even sometimes there's plays where he didn't do mostly everything right. But it's still like, bad situation and, not being able to make the most of it. At a certain point, you want to see good situations, and what are you able to do in those positions? Now, going over here, I'm not saying there aren't negative plays by Fields. There, of course, are. Something like this, it's a 3rd down and 14. It's zone coverage here, so, okay, not expecting a lot, but let's see what happens. The Vikings are in a prevent defense, only rushing 3 here. Watch as when Justin Fields takes the snap, he is going to, I think, do the right thing, scramble outside the pocket, try to get time for someone to get open. Eventually, someone doesn't just get open, they're wide open right here. However, Fields' throw is wild. And again, Fields was off balance, all that stuff. I get it. And, it's possible he just thought the receiver was going to go further deep. Wasn't the best play. At the same time, though, it's not like this is a big issue I've noticed with Fields over his career, just kind of something I noticed in this specific game. So, kind of talking about the game and the career at once. Something I noticed for the game, but not something I would be too concerned of, as a whole. This next play is definitely something that has kind of plagued Fields throughout his entire career and still does. So the situation is something we have to talk about. Look at the scoreboard. The Vikings are up a point. The Vikings just took the lead, 3rd down and 10 here. So you want to get the 1st down. Worth mentioning, might be 4-down territory depending on the situation. If you get sacked, it's probably not 4-down territory, but if you get 9 yards, it almost certainly is 4-down territory, right? So for Fields, 3rd down and 10, let's see what happens. Well, right off the bat, this might be surprising to you. He doesn't love what he sees and decides to run instead. I know, wild stuff. And again, part of that is Fields, but a big part of that is just the receivers haven't gotten open. And I think that's the bigger issue for sure. Although, I do know we have seen all those, especially early on this season, those plays where someone was open and he's instead choosing to run with the football. But here, okay, running with the football in this spot, it's one of those situations where, to be honest, I don't hate the decision to try and take a hit here. I really don't. I think that it makes sense to say, you know what, let me just sort of lower the shoulder. If I have to take a hit, I have to take a hit. Let's try and pick up the 1st down. However, he doesn't put his second hand on the ball, and it pops out, and Minnesota recovers, and that could have been the game. It really could have. Somehow, they were able to still find a way to win, so give them credit for sure. And Fields did some good, he made a good throw on the final drive, kind of hit a wide open guy, but, still, he ran a good drive at the end there. So there still is positives with Fields, and there still are negatives with Fields, and quite frankly, he's one of those difficult quarterbacks to evaluate. He really is, and I think the Bears have made it more difficult with sort of failure to build around him at times. So should you move off of him? Well, one nice thing to, note here is that you don't have to make that decision today. You can wait on that decision, because you do have still, a small handful of games left to play, and you can just, decide, okay, do we make that call? Who knows? Maybe the Panthers will go on a win streak and you won't even have the opportunity to draft a quarterback 1st overall. And it depends as well on how do you evaluate the quarterbacks in this draft? Are you like some people who think Caleb Williams is a superstar and should go 1st overall and could be, the next Patrick Mahomes? Or are you someone who says he's not that good and, maybe you feel like, well, in that case, trade down and for someone who does think he's that good and will trade you several 1st-round picks for it. At the end of the day, I think to me, Fields has some value. I think he's proven he has some value at this point. I think the question is just how much value, and I do think it's, at the end of the day, it is his 3rd season, and even the highs are probably not enough to outweigh the lows. And if you do have a 1st overall pick and you like a quarterback, it's probably worth it to spend the 1st overall pick on that quarterback. At the same time, though, if you don't love it, you don't. At least I think he's been good enough that you don't have to move on from him, although you might choose to. That's kind of how I view all of this. But yeah, that's what I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from y'all. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.